Kim Jong Un can never exist without Chinese Communist Party's sponsorship. There's no way he can be dictator right now. And he's imprisoning 25 millions of people. And the United Nations, they are saying only resemblance we can see what's happening to North Korean people is a Holocaust. That's what the Holocaust is happening again in North Korea, and the world is denying it again. And the mainstream, of course, Hollywood and media denying it because they don't want to upset China.
And then how were you sort of welcomed into the Western world after this? I mean, now you live in Chicago now. Your friends, we have a ton of similar friends that are all fighting these battles, but you've lived through this battle. How did you go from just sort of activism in South Korea to where you are now?
Yeah, in South Korea, unfortunately, I was heavily discriminated, and I couldn't fit in. I had to lie to people that I was South Korean because there were, so many things like South Koreans were discriminated against for North Koreans, and that's why I chose to come to America. Even though people say this is like a racist country, this is the country I've been most embraced and included in my life. So I chose US as my home because there's no racism for me here to experience.
Right. So before we get to the non-racism of the United States, so South Koreans were discriminating against North Koreans. Was that simply because they didn't know North Koreans, or they felt that too many North Koreans were coming over, or what is that? Because you don't really think that there would be that type of discrimination.
Just because we are coming from a poor country, and South Koreans, they discriminate against Southeast Asians like Vietnamese, Thai, Filipinos, and North Korea is also a poor country. I don't think they discriminate people as much when they come from France or Europe or Western Europe or USA, but do that when people coming from poor country. So even though we are same people, when I went to South Korea, they were just making fun of my accent because I was speaking with northern accent. And, they were asking me, are you a spy? Why are you talking to me? And it's like, if I were a spy, why would I even escape? So it was very tough.
Right. So what put you on my radar was a few months ago, a whole bunch of people started sending me a video of you talking about your adventure and your journey and everything else. And you happened to mention that you read Don't Burn This Book and that it helped you in some way, which is, I don't even have the words to explain my gratitude for that. I mean, it's just beyond imagination considering what you've lived through. But in essence, you are now here in the United States. Do you consider yourself an activist first? What do you consider yourself now, really? You're an author, obviously, and you're out there fighting all these battles. But what do you consider yourself now?
Yes, I'm a fighter. I'm trying to fight against North Korean dictatorship and Chinese Communist Party that sponsors dictatorship in North Korea. And I think that's why I began. I mean, until I read your book, and it was I was more trying to be, I try to do my best to raise awareness. And at Hollywood, everybody, they don't pick up North Korean story. They talk about slavery, and they talk about Malala, who was shot by Taliban. They talk about was captured by ISIS. Michelle Obama was standing up Boko Haram girls. All these people in the mainstream standing up for a lot of girls and human trafficking issues, but nobody here in West wants to talk about North Korea because that upsets Chinese regime.
Is that crazy for you? You come here and you see the sort of fear around talking, not just about North Korea, but we talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago. Just that you see the way we are afraid of speaking up here in the freest country in the world about whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, that's so shocking to me. I thought America was land of the free, the home of the brave, right? That's how I thought of this country to be coming here. And the movies, when they make about North Korea to expose the dictatorship, the Hollywood drop the sponsorship. And there's no way I can talk about, because Kim Jong Un can never exist without Chinese Communist Party's sponsorship. There's no way he can be dictator right now. And he's imprisoning 25 millions of people. And the United Nations, they are saying only resemblance we can see what's happening to North Korean people is a Holocaust. That's what the Holocaust is happening again in North Korea, and the world is denying it again. And the mainstream, of course, Hollywood and media denying it because they don't want to like upset China.
Yeah. I mean, is it that obvious? Like it's that Hollywood just wants Chinese dollars. The last Transformers movie, they really wanted to push to China, so they filmed part of it there and they put all the products and all that kind of stuff. I mean, is it really that simple? It just comes down to money and they see a new market there and that's it?
So that's like what I only discovered last few years, that I've been keep trying to talk to people, and then as soon as I talk about my experience in China as being human trafficking, all of that, they were like, oh, I cannot put my name on that. Mm-hmm. And it's all behind doors. Everyone's like, oh, I cannot, like, I care about what you do, but like I can never like support you on this. And they have no problem supporting like a lot of other causes. And also though my movie has been trying to make, and other movies were being made already. And these major production companies gave money, and then as soon as they were like purchased by like Disney, other platforms, they just dropped the sponsorship, and they're like, I cannot show this movie.
So when you see like, there was the big controversy 6 or 7 months ago with the NBA players that wouldn't criticize China, and yet they'll tell you how racist and everything else America is, it must just blow your mind.
I mean, but even though it blew my mind, I couldn't speak out because I was scared, like how am I gonna, like, I need to fight for my people. What if all this country gonna make me a CIA spy and blah, blah, being a racist, all of that, like, how do I even get a chance to fight for my people? Maybe I still need to be like somehow being acceptable to them. But like, I was robbed in Chicago this year during the summer unrest. And I was punched by these 2 Black women. And then I was trying to ask them, like, can you, like, I was asking people help. Like, she was punching me and taking my wallet away. And these people were starting calling me a racist. Like, this, like, middle of the Chicago, Michigan Avenue. I still have a footage of these girls. And it's like, you are racist, you're a bad person, why are you doing this? Like, color of skin doesn't make them thief. I was like, I have a nanny who's Muslim wearing hijab. Like, I'm a colorful person. Like, why would I do that? And of course, those girls were thief. The police got the footage of them using my credit card, spending $30,000 at Bloomingdale or something.
Yeah, Bloomingdale.
And I just couldn't believe it. Like, the people were seeing me. I was very petite, as you saw me. These big 3 Black women were like pushing me to the corner and punching me, and then they still calling me a racist, and like they're holding me down so they can run away so I cannot call the police on them. And that's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I have a son in this country. Like, this is not a safe country anymore. Like, things are not like okay anymore.
So what do you make about what's happening in the United States? Because one of the things we were talking about a couple weeks ago is that the chill around free speech, that just people are, you said to me, I think this is exactly what you said, but correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you said this is right now feeling like what it felt like. I know this feeling from
Before I say always, like first thing my mom taught me was not to even whisper, because the birds and mice could hear me in North Korea. And now I'm same thing, like trying to teach my son, like when you cross the like walkway, and like crosswalk, there's like white man like walking sign, and he's like 2 years old. Of course, for him, it's like a white color and man looking. So it's a white man, I can walk, and people looking at him is like, you cannot say that name, like I'm like already teaching him to be how not to be attacked, and like this is what exactly my mom did to me. Like I just like. And what I see in America is that when I was born in North Korea, I was like 3rd generation of this oppression. I didn't even know what the alternative was like. Mm-hmm. But my grandmother knew, like she was living under the Japanese colonization before Kim. She lived that life. And people at that time who knew what was different existed, they stopped and they kept silent. And by the time when it came to us, we didn't even know that we were slaves to the dictator. And that's the thing. Yeah. People say, like, why there's no revolution in North Korea? And I was like, how do you fight when you don't know you're a slave?
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about international issues instead of nonstop yelling, check out our international playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, check out our full episode playlist. They're all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.